Hi, I'm Kristen from ICStarsQuilting.com, and today I want to share with you something that really kind of drove me insane when I was first starting to really get into quilting. If you are new to quilting or you are a self-taught quilter, this is something that you are going to want to pay attention to. It can feel intimidating when you open up a pattern and there are all of these terms and these acronyms in there that you don't know what they mean. You know, to a established quilter who has been doing this for years and years and understands all of this, it is just another DOTJ. That means day on the job. Don't pay attention to that one, I just made it up. But a lot of these other ones can feel like they're made up too. So I want to help you learn some of the most popular quilting lingo. Maybe you've heard quilters in a group or online talk about they're working on their BOM. That means block of the month. So what it is you get like one design a month, either by email or you may buy like the whole thing at one time, but they give it out a little bit at a time. By the end of the year, you have an entire quilt, 12 blocks. You may also hear them talk about an RR, which is a round robin. This is done in a setting where like the whole quilt guild will work on it at one time. Everybody makes like the center blocks and then you swap, and then other people add on borders to these blocks. Sometimes the whole guild works on one quilt. Sometimes every single person in that guild gets a quilt by the end of this. So it kind of differs depending on what group you're working with. It's really fun to do. Have you heard people talk about working on a QAL or a swap or a oak? I mean, you know, what is this stuff that they're talking about? A QAL is a quilt along. That means everybody works on the same pattern at the same time. You may be posting pictures online, you may be posting them in Facebook groups or whatever, but everybody works on the pattern at the same time. So you can see each other's progress. It's a quilt along. You're all doing it together, even if you're not in the same room together, or you can be completely different sides of the world, but you're all working on the same pattern together. A swap is exactly what it sounds like. This is the one that made the most sense to me. So you're either switching up blocks that you have made with other quilters, or you're switching up fabric. So you're just swapping things. That one made the most sense to me. Oak, one of a kind. I don't know why us quilters can't use full words when we're talking. It's not like we save that much time, but we do. Let's touch on fabric, okay? In the patterns, you will see a YD or YDS. That is short for yards, the length of a measure of fabric. If you take that yard and you divide it into 4 equal areas, you will get a fat quarter. If you see F8, that is a fat eighth. So you take your fat quarter and you divide it in half again. That's how you get a fat eighth. WOF is width of fabric. You may see RST or RT, right sides together or right sides touching. Very rarely do us quilters do wrong sides. We don't work with wrong sides together because that's just silly. You may run into some different techniques. HST, I get this one a lot. HST is half square triangle. This is a very simple block, but you can do so much with it. What about PP? PP is paper piecing, which is not to be confused with EPP, which is English paper piecing. Very different techniques. Beautiful, immaculate, accurate quilts. HP is hand piecing. So that is sewing by hand all of your pieces together. HQ, it doesn't stand for headquarters. It stands for hand quilting. SID, stitch in the ditch. FHS, freehand sewing. FMQ, free motion quilting. SNW, stack and whack. I have a tutorial for this one on my blog, and I will put the link down in the comments down here, but it's a really, really fun way to get your quilt blocks. Let's talk tools. You know, your favorite machines. You may have a DSM. That's a domestic sewing machine. You may have an LA. That's a long arm. You may take your quilt to a LAQ, which is a long arm quilter if you're not doing the quilting yourself. There is also a QAYG. That's a quilt as you go. Okay, so that's when you're doing the little blocks one at a time and you're quilting them as you go, and eventually you're going to attach them all together and it's gonna be great. QOV, I see that one floating around in the message boards and on Facebook a lot. It stands for Quilts of Valor. It is an organization in the US that accepts donated quilts made by men and women, and then they distribute them to other service members that were in the military or veterans that have taken the time to fight for our country and have made that sacrifice. When you go to your quilt meetup, you may be asked to bring a BSK or a BSS. Again, I don't know why we can't use like full on terms here. A basic sewing kit or basic sewing supplies, okay? You will want to bring those with you. These next terms, people often say in kind of a hushed, maybe kind of an embarrassed or like a slightly ashamed, you know, whoopsies tones. You may hear people talk about working on their PhD. No, they're not going to night school. They're working on their projects half done, or their WIPs, works in progress. You may also hear that called WIPs. There's also projects in progress, PIP. What about a UFO? You know, some of us quilters are crazy, but we're not talking about the little green men in this one. We're talking about unfinished objects. Several of us have a disorder called FOB. Yeah, fear of binding, or fear of basting if that worries you. But either one, it's kind of interchangeable. My personal favorite is a wombat. It's a waste of money, batting, and time. That's the project that you just can't finish no matter what. I have a few of those. And last but not least, another, like, I don't understand why we can't say this out in full words, but one of the most fun things that you can do as a quilter is fart. Go on a fabric acquisition road trip. Yeah, I would love to meet who came up with that one and made it a thing. In the comments below, tell me some of the other acronyms that you've seen or things that have like completely befuddled you. Like why do we have to have an acronym for this? Tell me some of the other shortcuts that you've seen in the patterns. I don't know, maybe you make some up when you're doing quilting. Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you soon. Make sure you hit the subscribe button down below so that you will be notified every time that I post a new video.